Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Misericordia Family Association General Meeting. I'm Pam Caprero,
And I'm Jim Caprero.
and we'd like to welcome you here today to learn about some timely updates for some of our programs, and most importantly, or at least as important, the Misericordia benefit, which is coming up in June. Before we get started, we'd like to introduce Father Jack Clare, who's our Executive Director, newly appointed, may I say, who's going to give us the opening prayer as well as some remarks. Father Jack?
And so let us pray. Lord, we are so grateful as we gather here this day, grateful for our families and for all the people who believe most deeply in Misericordia. All of us have celebrated in different ways. Easter, we're in the middle of the Easter season. We have celebrated Passover. Ramadan is almost over. So there have been many ways in which we have been called to faith in these last weeks. For that, we are always grateful. We are reminded of the prayer that is always needed in our lives, because without your help, God, we couldn't do much of what we do. And so we are filled with gratitude as we gather this day and are so grateful that things are opening up. Masks are disappearing. You see one hanging here because we still need them at Misericordia, but in other places they are disappearing. Lord, we are grateful that we have survived so far in this pandemic, and we continue to ask your guidance as we make decisions in the future. Bless all of our families, especially those who have lost someone that's been important to them since we were last together. In a special way, we remember Jody Fratto, one of our residents who passed away a couple of weeks ago, and ask that you continue to watch over parents, several of whom have passed in the last month. And so, loving God, all of these we place in your hands and ask that we might always be protected, might always do your will. We offer this prayer in your name, for you are our Lord forever and ever. Amen. Well, I guess this is my first chance to speak to you as the President and Executive Director of Misericordia Home. My thanks to Sister Rosemary, the Chairman of our board of the Foundation, and to Lois, the Executive Director of the Foundation, for all their work at fundraising. That's what keeps us going. We couldn't do what we do without the efforts of the Foundation and the efforts of the fundraising that goes on. This past week, I was invited to a meeting downtown at the CMS, the Center for Medical Services. They invited 8 different heads of various health institutions to come together to have a roundtable discussion with the director from Washington. And so we sat with him and talked about 2 pandemics, as he described it. The first pandemic, of course, was the COVID that we have gone through, what that has meant to all of us. And certainly at Misericordia, we have a deep debt of gratitude to the administrators and directors who day in and day out throughout the pandemic met and planned and did everything they could to make sure that we kept our residents safe and tried to protect our staff as much as we could. It was a pandemic for many reasons, but one was it was very costly. It was very expensive. We had to reward our employees who were working with those who were positive. We had to provide housing for some because they couldn't go home to COVID situations. So there were loads of challenges in addition to all the extra equipment and all the things that were needed to keep life going here at Misericordia with everything shut down. It was a real challenging time, and we did well. And that was the one thing I was proud to say. They asked us to say something what we were most proud of, and that was the thing that I was most proud of, is how well we have got through COVID, even with the loss of a staff and a resident. That was the saddest part of it all for us, and we continue to miss them very, very much. In terms of the other pandemic that they talked about, that is the lack of staff in all kinds of institutions. So not just long-term care facilities, though it's a real problem, but across the country, staffing is an issue for every kind of business, but in particular where we feel it is in long-term care, because it's services that are needed 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So it's not something where people can take the afternoon off or go for the weekend and leave people. We need 24-hour coverage. And so it is a real challenge to be short on staff, which we are. not in a dangerous level, but certainly in a challenging level. Lots of people are working lots of overtime, and that not only is costly, but it also, people are tired, and we respect that they are working so hard, and we are so grateful to the staff that have stepped forward. We are so grateful to our administrators, so grateful to our directors, everybody who has stepped up to try and pick up the pace. Many people whose job is not direct care are doing direct care right now because that is what is needed. But there are other people who make life around here happen. Myself, Sister Lois, we end up in front of the camera all the time. Julie's behind the camera. Julie's one of the people that makes life go on at Misericordia and does it without a lot of fanfare, without a lot of presence on the front of the camera. But we are so grateful to people like Julie and to all the people who are working so hard to keep our residents safe and to present Misericordia in a good way. So to all of these folks, it is with a deep debt of gratitude that we gather this day. I would happy to welcome a new staff member. While we're talking about staff, we have a new priest on staff. One of the things when I received the letter that the Cardinal appointing me to the executive directorship, I thought, if only I could get a priest that would help with so many of the funerals and the things that Misericordia is so connected to. Well, it was just a short time later. I feel like I'm repeating Sister Rosemary, the right people in the right time. So we're going to keep Sister's line going. But Father Bart Winters called and asked if we would have interest in him coming to Misericordia. His brother had been very involved here years ago, had been a guardian for one of our residents, so he was very familiar with Misericordia. He has a wonderful background. He was a pastor for many years at neighboring parishes in Evanston, St. Gregory's over here. He then was sent to Rome to get his doctorate and served on the faculty up at the major seminary where we train the priests for the archdiocese and for 60 dioceses across the country. So he comes with a long pedigree, and he's just a wonderful guy who cares a great deal about Misericordia. He's living with us part of the time, at least here in Shannon, but he is here saying masses. He's working with staff. His role will continue to expand as we figure out his time and his gifts and how they can be best used at Misericordia. But we really want to welcome Father Bart here. He is really a gift to us. It's funny how life returns. He was the deacon at my first Mass. So it's a weird phenomenon for me to think we were connected so many years ago, and here we are together again, and I'm delighted to have him here. In terms of our leadership, I've mentioned them already. I think the most important thing that any of us do, me included, is to look at who's going to replace us. Who's in line to be the next this, the next that. And so one of our goals as a leadership team is looking to build leadership here at Misericordia. So you will be seeing us talking about this a lot over the next few months as we try to encourage people to follow in the footsteps of the leaders that are here. We're all not getting any younger. Though I'm new at the job, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want you to think I'm running out right away. But all of us, many have been here for many, many years, and deserve some private life to themselves too. So all those things will come in time. But we can't do it until we're sure that we have the right people in the right place at the right time. And so we will continue to reach out looking for leadership here at Misericordia and trying to address the needs of people, and trying to enrich our community as best that we can. Parents, you are a great help to us. We know that, we've put an awful lot on you over these last months, but it's because we're worried about your kids. We want them to be safe. We want them to be healthy. COVID has tested all of us, and don't think it's been any easier on this side. So the challenges you've experienced, we've experienced. We are so grateful for your support. Financially, it's been a challenging time. We have to keep up with the wages that are going on around the country right now. Nurses, doctors, all these are expensive items. But everyone needs to be fairly paid because it's not easy to live in the current environment. Costs are going up dramatically, whether that's gas or food. We all know what it's like. And so we have to be conscious of that as we look to the needs of Misericordia, and we continue to ask for your support in whatever way you can give it, whether that's events or whatever. The tents have been ordered for the fest. We have great hope for that. I saw Kevin's email today ordering the beer for the fest, We're hoping for the donation of the beer as we have done in the past. So all of that is happening. So everyone is working very hard. Everyone is very hopeful for the future. We're trying to get things opened up as fast and as safely as we can. It takes longer to do things than we expect. We're in a kind of isolated little world here, and you might think that that's better, but Holy Saturday, I got word that 6 of our residents in one apartment were COVID positive. And I was walking in to say Easter Mass, and it almost depressed me so much as I went in to say Mass, and I thought, you know what? The Lord conquers all things. He'll conquer this too. But the challenge is still there, and it's still real, and we still have to be very careful. So we continue to ask you to do your very best to support us in our decisions and to help us along the way. We're only going to do what we think is safest and best for our residents and for our staff. We have a wonderful group of people that work for us. I had asked the administrators months ago, I thought it might be worthwhile if I, as part of the executive team, would have an individual interview with each staff on campus, so all 1,200. So I have been doing that since November. I'm over halfway done, but I continue to give a couple hours a day to that, where I give 15 minutes to each staff and just try to find out where they're at, what their concerns are, what they're thinking, what they see about Misericordia, what's good, what's bad. But it's a wonderful listening experience. We have great people working for us for the most part, and we have to be grateful for them. Many of them come from situations that are very difficult and challenging. They come from financial poverty, some of them. Some of them have great difficulties at home with their own families, and yet they come here and they put on a great face and they love your children and my sister and all the people who make up our residence. And so never forget to say thanks to staff. They are God's gift to us right now. If we wonder where God's mouth is, it's through our staff. They're doing the work, and they are working very hard, and they are working overtime. And I mean that sincerely. So we need to get more staff. If you can reach out to more people, that will be a great thing. There's been a lot of new people elected, so I'm asking you to reach out to your legislators. We need to get them back out here again. Now that we're reopened a bit, we have to get them back so they know what Misericordia is, who Misericordia is, what we need. So any time you can get your state representatives or your senators in particular, those are the 2 groups of people we really need to get out here. The kind of higher elected officials we'll continue to reach out to. I did speak with the governor over St. Patrick's weekend, and he has promised to come out and meet with us sometime soon. So that will happen, and we'll continue to do our reach out, but we need your help. They need to know that the people who are voting for them are looking for them. So any of you that can reach out to your legislators and get them to come here, especially if they've never been here before, to invite them to come, we'd be so grateful. Thank you all for being a part of this meeting today. Thank you to all that I work with. I'm proud to work with everyone who's a staff member of Misericordia. God bless you all, and may this pandemic be over soon. Both of them, both COVID and our staff challenges. So God bless you all. Take care.
Thank you, Father Jack, for those inspiring remarks. We're so blessed to have you as our executive director. Your leadership and the loving care of our staff will cause Misericordia to continue to thrive. You have our support, the support of the Misericordia Family Association. And speaking of the MFA, we have a little bit of business to bring to the agenda right now. It's our pleasure to present a list of nominees, a slate for the board positions that need to be filled in the next term starting on August 1st. For MFA Chair-elect, Deborah and Scott Early. Treasurer, the nominee is Barb Rabenak. Fundraising Chair, the nominee is Holly Jennings. Membership Chairs, Lisa Masucci and John Butler. Recording Secretaries, Barb Quaintance and Marianne Marymont. Marion Site Representative, Ann Wilson and David Newcorn. Macaulay Site Representative, Elizabeth Green. Now that we've presented the slate, it's up to our membership, you, to vote. We'll send out a link. There'll be an online form where you can vote. The polls will be open for 2 weeks from the time you receive the link. Please do vote.
Next, we'd like to introduce Deborah Shears and Sue Ziesmer, who are going to give us lots of information on the upcoming Misericordia benefit. We all know how important these monies raised are for Misericordia and for the quality programming that we are all so dependent on. Deb and Sue?
Hi, I'm Sue Ziesmer.
And I'm Deborah Shears.
We're still the MFA benefit co-chairs.
We hope you had a happy Easter. And for those of you who generously submitted sponsorships and ad book ads, we thank you.
Thanks to all the people that bought raffle tickets.
And last but not least, thank you for underwriting auction items.
Remember, you can still buy raffle tickets, sell them to your friends, and you can also underwrite auction items.
Please keep checking the mfabenefit.org website for updates and additions to the auction page.
And speaking of the auction, we would like to introduce the hard-working silent auction chair, Margaret Dillon.
Hi, it's the Dillon family here. Margaret, along with Sarah, and Mark's behind the camera, and we're here to talk to you a little bit about the silent auction for this year's MFA benefit. Before we get started with our asks, I want to say a couple of things. First, I wish we were doing this in person and I could see all of your faces. It makes it so much easier, but this will have to do for now. I also want to thank all of you, all of the families who are being so gracious and so generous. You make this job really a pleasure. I've gotten to meet so many of you and your friends and your family. So thanks before we get started for what you have done for us. And now on to our asks. As always, we're looking for tickets to sporting events. We're looking for Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Bears, Bulls, Notre Dame, Northwestern, theater tickets. We're really anxious for people to get back into the theater again. I understand that Wrigley's having between 12 and 15 concerts this year. We're hoping when that gets announced, there will be some exciting acts. Tinley Park is hosting Rod Stewart, I believe, and The Who. Elton John's coming to Soldier Field. So as always, we're looking for tickets to any of those. We're also looking again for theater tickets. People are anxious to get back to that. So a couple of things. If you have any contacts, please let me know. If you have season tickets to any of that, often they will let you purchase tickets before they hit the market so we can get them at face value. We will be setting up several items on the GiveSmart site that you can underwrite. We will have an underwriting group for just tickets. We're always looking for golf. That's a great item. Unless you think I have forgotten, I am looking for tickets to the Kennedy Center Honors, to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and of course, a chance to fly with the Blue Angels. My contact information is both in the MFA directory and in the packet information. And Sarah's final message is, looking to say, go Misericordia.
Misericordia.
Thank you.
Thank you to Deborah Shears and Sue Ziesmer. The benefit is exciting, and we're sure it will be successful because our members will work to support it. And we really need to hear Margaret and Sarah Dillon's message. Please consider donating prize items to be auctioned off at the benefit. It's a major source of income for us. Next up, we're going to hear from our representatives at large, Lisa Masucci and John Butler. They're working as our coordinators on the Misericordia Staff Appreciation Initiative. Every month, there's another section of Misericordia where a staff appreciation event is occurring. Lisa, John?
Hi, my name is Lisa Masucci.
And I'm John Butler.
We are representatives at large on the MFA board. We work on special projects as they come up. We were asked by the MFA board to coordinate staff appreciation events at Misericordia. Every month, different departments at Misericordia are being recognized. The recognition events consist of a catered lunch and raffles, and also an employee gift.
Here's the schedule of appreciation events for the year. As you can see, we've got quite a number of them planned because there's a lot of staff in Misericordia, and we want to make sure that we can recognize each and every one of them. So we've got events that we've already held in February, March, and April, and we're starting to plan May's. November is a month of gratitude at Misericordia, which include appreciation events, including the traditional turkey giveaway. And then December is reserved for holiday celebrations. Next slide.
Here are some photos of recent events. The staff has really enjoyed getting together, and they've really enjoyed the events, the catered lunch, and all the other things that we've had planned. Next slide, please. Some more staff enjoying their luncheon. Next slide, please. And here is one of the posters that we've put together of the notes of gratitude and thanks that you have all sent in. You probably have seen our requests in MisBiz for notes of gratitude and thanks for the staff. What we do is we print those out and we make these poster boards that are present at the luncheons. The staff really enjoys looking at them and appreciates all the notes. Next slide, please. And here's some more staff enjoying looking at the boards. Next slide, please.
Now, if you would like to get involved in showing your appreciation for Misericordia staff, there will be opportunities for you to do that. Every month, we'll be asking for new notes of thanks and appreciation. So if you could just jot down some thoughts that you have and how much you appreciate the Misericordia staff, they really like to see that. And then there will be opportunities for specific volunteering for events. Look for those emails from the MFA, and we'll be using Sign Up Genius to sign up for them. We could use some help at future appreciation events, and there will be special events that could use your help, such as staffing the bakery truck or folding t-shirts. We already have our staff for those events, but there will be some in the future.
Thanks very much for all your help. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa and John. And thank you to all the volunteers who are committing time to helping Lisa and John show such great appreciation for our wonderful staff. Next, we're going to hear from Diane and David Carpenter, and they're going to talk to us a little bit about our new website. Diane and Dave.
Hello, we are Diane and David Carpenter, and we are part of the MFA Communications Committee, and we are the administrators of the new MFA SIBS website. We took over this job from Jim Caprero, who created the website 12 years ago, and we thank him for the hard work of managing the site for so very long. It was decided that the website needed some cleaning up, sprucing up, and speeding up, so we decided to rebuild it from scratch. And now David will present the new MFA SIBS website.
Okay, folks, we're going to do basically the world's quickest demo here for the website. Here it is. You reach the site by typing in mfa-sibs.org in any web browser, and that takes you to the site. Before you log in, there's a limited amount of information that's available to the public. Misericordia news and some feature articles, some Misericordia information. But if you really want to see all the content, you need to log in. If you previously logged into the old site, your existing credentials still work, and you can type in your user ID and password and proceed to use the site. If, however, you've never registered on mfasibs.org, click on New Member Registration and provide your name, a selected username and password, your email address, your MFA affiliation, which is either as an MFA member, a SIBS member, or a member of Misericordia's administration staff, or being a Misericordia resident. Fill in that information, and your MFA number is also needed if you have one. And then just click on register. You'll receive 2 emails over the course of time. The first is to validate your email address, and the second will be to let you know that your registration was successful. So once registered, you can log in, which I will do here now. And when you do that, the menu changes a bit and gives you access not only to all the news, including COVID-19, which is not available to the public, but also a set of various documents and forms related to the MFA, the directory, handbooks, forms, and so on. On the right-hand side, there is a list of upcoming events for the next 30 to 60 days. You can click on any given individual event and look at the details for that, or you can look at the full calendar, which you can review by year, by month, by week, and so on. And there's color codings for the type of event. You only need to click on one of the colors to narrow it down to just looking, in this case, MFA events, or you can go back to look at all events in all categories. In addition, you can sign up to the MFA email list by clicking on this button, in which you'll receive certain emails. Most notable is MsBiz. There's also a search function that allows you to search through articles, documents, and events, looking for a particular search term, such as COVID, and all the results will appear on the main screen. No matter where you are in the site, you can click on the MFA SIBS logo in the upper left to return to the home page, or you can simply click on the word home in the menu. Scrolling down to the bottom, you will see that there's numerous articles on the first page, but there are several pages of articles, 13 in fact, for articles going back for the last couple of years. On the bottom right, there's a button that on any page can take you back up to the top. And that's it. That is the new website. If you have any problems, questions, or suggestions for ways we can improve the site, please contact us at mfa-webmaster@m-f-a.org. The address and the link to the address is at the bottom of every page. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the site.
David, Diane, thank you so very much. You know, this subject, the website, is close to my heart. Thanks for continuing the excellent digital communication. Next up, we're going to hear about Candy Days from Grace Glenn with the Misericordia Foundation Development Office. It's virtual again. Grace?
Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Glenn, and I work in the development office at Misericordia. I'm here to share a message about Candy Days. So as you guys know, Candy Days is a little bit later this year. It is Friday, April 29th and Saturday, April 30th. So if you have not gotten your pages up yet for Candy Days, please do so before this weekend. We currently have 338 pages set up. And if you have any questions at all about setting up your page, please feel free to contact myself or Greg Hartmeyer. The last email that was sent to the MFA contained all of the information you need to know to set up your page, including the instructions, a video tutorial, and the link to our main Misericordia Candy Days page, as well as a troubleshooting document. The troubleshooting document should address all of the quirky issues and common questions we've received again this year, with answers and workarounds and hopeful solutions. If you would like me to resend you any of these documents, please feel free to ask. Once again, Greg and I are on standby and ready to help with any of your questions. We're so sorry if you've had any issues or frustrations with the software, and we so appreciate everyone creating their pages for another successful Candy Days. We have raised over $800,000 so far, so we are well on our way, but still have a lot of work to do to reach our $2 million goal. Once again, please let us know if you have any issues or questions. We're happy to help.
Thank you, Grace, and thanks so much for reminding us all that we have to get those front stream page is set up. We may not be on the streets anymore shaking our cans, but raising money for Misericordia has never been so important. Next, I have the privilege of introducing Chris Krakenberger and Denise Tigas, who are members of the executive team, and they're going to give us some COVID strategy updates for campus. Chris and Denise?
We're here once again to talk to you about COVID and keeping Misericordia community safe. We've changed our topic from keeping the residents safe to keeping the community safe as we look at growing our community to include all of you again. Next slide.
The first thing we'd like to touch on is the vaccine mandate, which you will hear later is one of the key pieces of our core principles of infection control. All of our employees are fully vaccinated and are up to date with their boosters as required by the state of Illinois. In our guidance, volunteers are also treated the same as employees. So any volunteers coming to campus moving forward would be expected to comply with that mandate as well. For those who are eligible for a second booster dose, it's not required at this time for our employees or for our residents. But we do have people who are receiving that second booster dose, and we are working on a clinic for the residents. Denise has a contact at Walgreens that is working on securing the doses we would need to fulfill that campus clinic. If you are interested in taking your eligible family member to an outside pharmacy to receive that second booster, you are certainly welcome and encouraged to do that. Next slide.
So I want to take a minute to talk about county transmission levels. Currently, we're required to follow the county transmission levels. Previously, we followed the Chicago dashboard, which was just the positivity rate for the city of Chicago. You can find this information on the CDC website under the healthcare facility use. What it tells us is what requirements we have for testing of unvaccinated staff. And as you know, that's just exempt staff at MIS. So there's only a handful of those individuals. We also learn what kind of PPE we have to wear based on the positivity rate and the county transmission rate, and also our testing requirements for staff. Next slide, please. This slide shows you the community transmission as of 4/21. It also gives you a kind of a snapshot of where we are in terms of the transmission level around Misericordia. So we're in the red, which means we're at a very high rate. So we have to test more frequently and wear more PPE. Next slide, please.
So right now we are also planning and preparing for any future surges that may happen. As you are all aware, the end of 2021 was a little tense in terms of the Omicron variant kind of working its way through. And so for future planning, we are prepared with 10 weeks of PPE on hand. We are also participating in ongoing training of our staff. And our housekeeping department just is going now through refreshers on sanitation specific training. We are continuing with fit testing of N95 masks. And we also ensure that we have adequate testing supplies on hand. So enough PCRs and rapid tests to get us through a week of surge testing should that be needed. Next.
A little over a week ago, Mary Pat sent a letter to all the families about the recent activity or mini surge that we had on campus. We did have a small outbreak within a residential cohort right around Easter. We had several individual cases with staff as well around the campus. We were able to prevent significant spread by continuing cohorting, isolating, testing, etc. The symptoms in this little outbreak were mild for the residents and the staff who were positive. Next slide, please.
So touching briefly again on the core principles of infection control, You've seen all of these before. We've talked about them every time that we have gotten together. The two that we'd really like to focus on right now are surveillance and screening. So we are expected to screen every person who comes to campus, that's visitors, employees, every single day. And so you will be asked to go through the screening process whenever you're coming to campus, and we ask that you take that seriously. We also are really very conscious of the source control piece, which is masking. So many of our residents across campus are not able to wear masks. And so that just makes it that much more important that all of you are masked appropriately, even if it's no longer required in the community. We do still require masking here. And so your participation is in these core principles of infection control is greatly appreciated. Next.
And finally, how can you help in our efforts? If you could all just support Misericordia's policies and procedures. They've gotten us this far so far, and we're very happy with how we've done related to COVID. We're really trying our very best to keep your loved ones safe, and also to keep you safe when you're on campus. If you are not feeling well, please do not come to campus. We understand that sometimes people get sick. We'd rather you are sick at home and not sharing that with us. And also, if you have a question, please ask. You can reach out to Chris or myself or your administrator in your area. We're always happy to try and answer your question or to find the answer for you. Final words, Chris?
We are very much looking forward to continuing to open up the campus and to seeing everybody's smiling faces in person. We're all ready to kind of get back to normal. So hopefully we see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Chris Krakenberger and Denise Tigas. Thank you for keeping our residents safe. And we need to heed their words. They are regulated by the state of Illinois. And the screening that they're talking about and vaccination support is really important. It's what caused Misericordia to come through COVID with such a great track record. It hasn't been great for everybody, but it's much, much better than other facilities. And it's because of the diligence of our staff. So thank you very much. Speaking of staff, on to two more administrators from Misericordia, Tina Stendardo, who's the Administrator of Developmental Training, and Michael Diaz, who's the Administrator of Community Day Services. They're going to tell us about their work with our family members.
Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm Michael Diaz, and I'm here today along with Tina Stendardo. And together, we're going to talk with you about Misericordia's day services. Next slide, please. Misericordia's day services are two different services. The first being developmental training, which is managed by Tina Stendardo, the administrator, along with Mary Frances Schultz and Danny Wallace, her two directors. Developmental training is funded through public health. Community Day Services is the second service, and that is managed by myself, Michael Diaz, along with Ann Wiggin, the director of the program. And Community Day Services is funded through Human Services. And now I'm going to pass over to Tina Stendardo, who's going to talk with you about developmental training.
Thank you, Michael. As we started to think about opening up our DT programs, we wanted to keep a couple things in mind. Certainly want to make sure that we're maintaining all safety guidelines. We want to make sure that we're meeting the changing needs of our residents, and we want to make sure that we're staying current with the trends in our field. The programs that are developed through the DT program serve those individuals that live in our ICF areas. Next slide. So we have some goals for our DT program. We want to make sure that we're monitoring the census in each of the program areas to ensure for meaningful engagement. We want to make sure that the curriculum that's being offered is new and relevant and current. Ideally, we want to move towards a catalog system where we have a rotation of program offerings. We want to continue to make sure that residents have a balanced schedule that includes arts and technology and wellness and horticulture. We're looking at ways to adjust our start and end time of programs to accommodate the needs of the residents and areas. We put in a goal for ourselves to increase our social media exposure. So please check us out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's real important, I know, for families to see what happens during the day. So check us out there. Next slide. And so programming, DT is all about programming. We want to make an effort to make sure it's a continued effort to make sure programming is current and challenging and relevant. We really looked at space on campus, really trying to make this campus our classroom and do learning that happens indoors and in our wellness garden and our adaptive garden and places like that. We utilize our Day Services Digest, which is our curriculum newsletter, and that has exciting lesson plans and curriculum and craft ideas and all of those great things. We utilize collaborative virtual programming. We want to make sure that we also have a nice balanced schedule, continued balanced schedule with our pool, our fitness, our wellness, our gardens areas. In the future, we're looking to launch our Chicago Connects program, and that is our program where our residents will meaningfully engage in the community. We're looking to relaunch our GRACE curriculum, which is our programming for those individuals that are aging. We're going to bring back Market Days, was certainly a fan favorite. That's where our residents created products from recycled materials, and they hosted a sale for themselves. We want families to know that residents with the DT program will have a continued involvement in Artist and All. And as we grow and develop and expand, we're going to look for ways to incorporate work opportunities. So next slide, and Michael, I believe this is you.
Okay, so Community Day Services is most commonly referred to as CDS. And so CDS is a waiver-based service that has a heightened standard for that services are provided in the community. And CDS supports Scylla Homes and Shannon Apartments. CDS supports both campus-based and community-based employment. And CDS is, again, a new service that's meant to meet this heightened required standard. Next slide, please. So some goals of the CDS program are to ensure that each participant has one or more weekly experiences in the community, to maximize employment opportunities for participants, to instill participant-directed service models, and to maintain campus-based employment opportunities for employment, as well as more traditional opportunities found on campus, such as the arts, technology, classroom-based teaching, horticulture, et cetera. And lastly, we want to expand to be inclusive of DT participants as our service gets rooted. It's new, we're going to need some time, but we'll get there. Next slide. So components of the CDS program include, again, employment, which would include both community-based and campus-based employment, which would also include competitive employment and as well as group employment opportunities. Second component would be community learning, and which is most well known as our Engage Chicago program, where we have a participant-guided service model, meaning that the participants of the program work together with their instructors to determine what and how they want to learn about. Community learning also includes building supports and relationships in the community through experiential learning, so making friends and contacts through the community. And then within the community, we also do volunteering as well as community service. With campus-based learning, the residents have access to art and Arts and All. We have our technology-enabled learning, as well as we want to ensure that participants are part of campus community life. So we're going to go back to Tina to close it out.
On behalf of Michael and myself, we are both very excited for the future of day services. If you have any questions as it relates to community day services, you can reach out to Michael Diaz at michaeld@Misericordia. If you have any questions about our developmental training programs, feel free to reach out to me, Tina S. at Misericordia. Thank you very much for your time and enjoy the rest of the presentations.
It is now my honor to introduce Sister Rosemary Conley, Chair of the newly formed Foundation Board for Misericordia. Sister?
Hello and good morning. Thank you for joining us for this important meeting. We certainly seem to have gotten this virtual format down to a science. It has worked well for these past 2 years. But I must admit I am looking forward to being together with you in person very soon. It is exciting to be able to start welcoming family and friends back to campus. We have missed you. You have been very patient with us, and for this we are very grateful. You know the restrictions of COVID-19 were very difficult, but needed to be in place to protect your most vulnerable family member, our children and adults of Misericordia. Everything we do here at Misericordia is to assure a beautiful life for our children and adults who receive care, attend programs, work, and live life to the fullest. We truly are a community. Traditionally, this spring meeting was to collect items for the June MFA benefit. I want to thank Deb and Sue, our event chairs, the committee members, and this year's MFA chair couple, Pam and Jim, for the many hours they have worked to create an engaging and successful MFA benefit. Our annual funding gap has reached more than $25 million a year, and we continue to rely on the support of you, our families, and all the wonderful friends and supporters who believe in our mission to help us face this challenge. Your participation is crucial, and we are grateful for all the hard work put into the June benefit. Thank you also for the additional family fundraising you do throughout the year. You know personally that it truly makes a difference in the lives of our residents. April is a time of new life, like the flowers in spring. New projects have been blooming all over campus. I feel our world is finally waking up from our COVID slumber. Our residents are rejoining their work programs on campus, and they are overjoyed. We are now able to have in-person Mass on campus. Father Jack and Father Bart Winters, who recently joined our staff, are happy to welcome you to our Saturday afternoon Mass. I cannot tell you how important our ministry department is to our residents. Our children and adults truly are believers. They love God, they love the gift of life, and they want to live it fully, and they do every single day. Our newly renovated Greenhouse Inn and the gift shop are up and running. If you have not yet seen the changes, please make a point to join us for lunch and shopping. We are thrilled that our new Hearts and Flowers Bakery and Cafe, located just blocks from campus, will open this week. You can order coffee, bakery, or lunch in the cafe, or visit it at the drive-through window. It makes me happy to share with you the wonderful news that we are also starting to welcome our volunteers back to campus. Our new volunteer coordinator is excited to help you through our updated volunteer process. Volunteers are always needed to help support our wonderful staff and residents. We especially need your help now that our Greenhouse Inn and gift shop are open on Sundays. Please share with your family and friends the value of volunteering at Misericordia. I do feel Misericordia has experienced a rebirth. After a seemingly endless battle with the pandemic, we have awakened and risen alive, active, and energized, all over campus. It is truly a sight to behold. This time apart has been challenging, but I do believe God has been with us through this journey and brought us to where we are now. I ask for your prayers that God will send us quality staff to help us in our time of need. Thank you for being a valued member of our Misericordia family. I am surely looking forward to seeing all of you in person soon. God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you, Sister Rosemary. We are incredibly grateful that God chose you to nurture and lead Misericordia for the last 50 plus years, and that our new foundation board chose you to guide Misericordia to a more secure and sustainable future. That concludes today's program, but we have a few reminders for you. Please continue to do everything you can to support our incredible staff.
The grand opening of the Hearts and Flower Bakery and Cafe is this coming Tuesday, April 26th. It'll be open from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And you don't have to shake your cans to support Candy Days, April 29th through the 30th. If you haven't done so already, just set up your own giving page. If you need help, contact Grace Glenn at graceg@misericordia.com or call her at 773-273-4160.
Support the MFA benefit. It's coming soon, this coming June. Silent auction needs prizes. Contact Margaret Dillon. Buy and sell raffle tickets, and the giving tree will be coming live sometime soon.
Last but not least, cast your vote for the new MFA board. We need your voice. We need you to fill out the ballot. For more information on all of these topics, please go to our new website, mfa-sibs.org, or consult the weekly MSBiz.
We're so excited to say this. See you at the fest.